We are live. Happy Thanksgiving. What coins are up and what coins are down? Stay tuned to find out. Here's a hint. Everything that people own is down. Everything that they don't own or just got done selling is up. Bitcoin was up this morning because everybody spent the last 3 weeks selling Bitcoin. And then you have the big altcoins, what I'm going to call the consensus altcoins, ETH, Solana, XRP, and whatnot, all down and taking half the market with it. Notice I said half the market. Things like Kaspa and Super, absolutely mooning. Orca, a Solana DEX, was up 50% yesterday, of course, because everybody owns Jupiter and Radium. In equities, it's called dispersion. But I don't want to give you a headache. I do want to say thank you for watching the show. Thank you for supporting the channel. On behalf of the Eagle King and Toby, we wish you well today, whether you're in the United States or you're in Europe or Asia, wherever you are. Now, let's talk about holiday surprise moves. So all the Americans are going to the airport or getting in the car to go see mom. What do? Blow out the shorts. Take Bitcoin up above 90. Get everyone all excited. Then what happens? Looks like we're going to drop altcoins today and get everybody all wound up going in the other direction. Hi, welcome to the new market. I still think that Bitcoin is all sold out. And assuming altcoins don't go down 10% today, this is just going to create and reinforce more fear. Markets climb the wall of worry. Now, an example of something that we are going to cover in drumroll, the YouTube member podcast, the VIP podcast today is free for everybody, where we will be discussing futuristic approach to crypto and some shocking coins that AI agents will be interested in. Some you might be able to guess, some you definitely won't, based on Toby's novel and a little bit of GAN mojo. So that is at 8:30. I will also give you a preview and talk about some of those coins today, right? You got paid to buy the dip in Bitcoin. Why wouldn't you get paid to buy the dip in the future? Now let's talk about the future. I got to tell you something. I'm watching this podcast with Raoul Paul and like a famous crypto guy. And one thing that strikes me is that if crypto went up over the next 2 months, all of the crypto people would miss it. Like, for example, this guy is an OG in Zcash. He is going to hodl Zcash for the rest of his natural life. And he thinks he's going to get to buy it at 50. It's now at 500. So they continue to expect the cycle, the 4-year cycle, right? Everything goes up, you get out, and then everything goes down 90%. Now, could Zcash do a substantial retracement, crash, blow everybody out? Sure, right? It went straight up. So could they have a correction? Yeah. Okay. Now, would you BTFD that very quickly along with Monero and Zcash and everything else? I think so. I still think it's like a new bull market led by privacy, and that you got to try to buy dips, hope it holds, right? Because the shorts are after it today, right? Shorts took a little bit of heat for the first time, and now they're back after it. So this is my process that I was talking about. They missed the Bitcoin move, so now they're going to fight it, right? They miss it, they fight it, and then if it's really a bull move, it rips. And, nothing like a short trap. And, like I said, They do big moves on holidays. So if the bears really have the advantage, we'll find out. But I'm sensing that if they press the market today and it doesn't crack, all these legacy guys that went home short Bitcoin or convinced that they didn't have to be invested, 90 was a big point. What they're doing now is they're coming back down and retesting 90. So to get all the levels and get all the good stuff like AI coins and what levels we want to buy and sell or add to positions, you naturally want to join Patreon Platinum or Patreon Middle Tier VIP, where I will be sticking some AI agent coins for the near future, not the future, the near future. Some of them are crazy. I was like, wow. Sometimes our models crank stuff out. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That's frequently the best stuff. And of course, there's the YouTube member area, which, to show our gratitude to all of our friends, will be free today, where you will get to sample me interviewing Toby Ward and occasionally throwing in a little TA and, GAN coin picks, also called the book report. So you'll like the show. That's at 9:30 Eastern, probably 45 minutes after we get done here. Now, what are we going to get done here? JPMorgan says they expect the Fed to cut rates in December. Does JPMorgan and Goldman know something that we don't? Of course they do. Of course they do. They know exactly what the Fed's going to do because there's a problem with the banks. Let me say that again. There's a problem with the banks. JPMorgan would know, and the Fed knows too. And most likely, they're going to use the employment situation and Black Friday as cover to do it. Now, what they do with rates, frankly, is psychological. It's psychological, right? 25 basis point cut in the Fed funds rate means absolutely nothing. What matters is, what does Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, what do they pump into the system? Okay. And another guy who gets phone calls from powerful people, Saylor, issues warning to the Bitcoin community. If Bitcoin went to $10 million tomorrow, I want you to think about how you'd feel. Mike, it doesn't have to go to $10 million. Matter of fact, don't talk about $10 million because that's a sign of a bubble. Don't think about that. Okay. Think about what happens if Bitcoin would go to 150 and you could have bought it at 80. Matter of fact, you had multiple days to buy it at 80. You may get to buy it with an 80 handle today. Who knows? Happy Thanksgiving. Okay. Michael Saylor knows they're either going to do some form of crypto tax benefit, maybe, or they're going to hand out $2,000 stimmy checks. They cannot possibly, they as in the administration, they cannot deny what is going on with their popularity rating as consumer confidence has plummeted to the worst level since the April tariff panic. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas. I feel horrible. This assumes most Americans, 30% of Americans aren't having their holiday today. So if you are having a holiday, please make sure you're grateful that you have it at all. Normally Americans complain, the turkey is dry and I have to be with my family and etc. Okay. Well, I got a better idea. How about you're grateful that you got crypto in your account and you got a bird to eat and someone to eat it with? I'm serious. Now, again, when it comes to crypto, what's up today? What no one owns, like Pirate Coin, right? Akash, right? Which is one of our top AI agent coins. That is not really a secret. Virtuals is up today, like an AI agent marketplace. So is Pocket Network, a GAN coin that we've talked about. Now, I'm also hearing this from crypto people. So They're calling it the token industrial complex after the military industrial complex. That there's so many tokens, we can't figure it out. There's too many tokens. Okay, well, there are a lot of meme coins that got issued. Okay, but how many tokens are there that AI agents would use to do fast transactions? How many privacy coins are there? A dozen? 6, 7? Everyone is trying to tell me that crypto is too complicated. People, let me tell you something. On Patreon and for the YouTube member area, like we're going to be talking about this stuff today, I'm on Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT, and Grok, right? And I know what to put in each thing, each chatbot. What, we can't sort through tokens? Oh, and by the way, there's sector analysis. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the S&P 500. They can go through 500 stocks. There's also I think it's the Wilshire. It used to be the Wilshire 5000. So there's 5,000 stonks or 4,000 stonks. What? There's 4,000 high quality tokens. Now, what I did hear from this crypto head that was interesting, that I think is very meaningful, is that in terms of altcoin sponsorship, there's the big coins at the top, which are probably over-owned, but still, they have sponsorship, they have ETFs, they have flows of money. People go to Coinbase and get started. That's where they go. And then you have smaller coins that are under-owned that people can chase if they get going. And it's kind of like everything in the middle just kind of dies. And that's what it feels like today, right? The stuff that's got a value proposition, ironically, could be the stuff that's up today. And everything in the middle has no sponsorship, meaning everyone thinks Altseason is all alts up at once, in particular your bags. Altseason is going to be done by sector from now on, which means you're going to need research, which I can help you with. So can Toby Ward, because we are cranking out research like it's our job, because it is. Okay, so don't tell me, oh my God, the market's down. Oh my God, everything's going to zero. It actually isn't. It isn't. I mean, Super, a gaming coin on Coinbase, is up like 30% today. Track, which is another one of our AI coins, is up 2% today, along with Akash. And you're going to tell me that there's a problem with the market? There's no problem with the market. There's a problem with people's bags, and there's a problem with things that everyone owns. Solana could be one of these cases, right? In other words, the layer one Olympics are on, right? Every layer one is not going to win. Like we have something like if there's a big correction next year, we have a layer one and a layer two that we want to buy. That may be giving it away. But I don't know if every layer one is going to win, because machines are going to pick the winners and the losers. And the humans got to get ahead of that game, even if there are big dips along the way. If there's small dips, you don't think crypto hedge funds are figuring out what machines are going to want? I'm doing it. We're going to be discussing some of that at 9:30 Eastern on the Thanksgiving Gratitude podcast. And we do this all day long in the YouTube member area. But you got to start asking yourself, and I'm serious, what altcoins can you get out of so you can get into the right coins? Because if Zcash taught us anything, and Dash and any privacy coin, is that when a sector moves, especially if it has a leadership coin, then you got to watch out. Now, back to Bitcoin. You have stonks, I don't know, up only. And ironically, whatever's going on in stonks is going to happen in crypto. Like Jim Cramer and all the like native stock guys, yeah, they're all bearish. And as it goes up, they're protesting. Now, yeah, there are accounting problems and there are issues there. There's going to be a reckoning. But all the native people and all the in markets are all bearish. Everybody in crypto is still trying to tell me about the 4-year cycle. Great. And so how about we make it a 5-year cycle? Or we make it like equities where it'll go up and up and up and up, and then you'll have some big correction, at which point it resumes and goes up and up and up and up. In other words, you're hearing all the 4-year cycle people tell you, well, all the bullish people are saying this time is different. And, they would be right that this time is different are the 4 most dangerous words in the English language. However, when you have a hard monetary reset, $38, $40 trillion in debt, $2 trillion government deficit, and the emergence of, like AI, as in like robots that are people. I mean, they got the software, people. They got the software. Google and Warren Buffett took a position in Google. They have the software. They have Skynet. They just don't have the hardware. So this is happening. Like AI is happening. You haven't heard a word about it. And that makes me think that it's bigger than anyone thinks, because you haven't heard a word about it at Christmas. Nothing. Not at Halloween, not at Thanksgiving. You have Elon on the tape saying it's going to be like Star Trek. We're going to be free to explore the universe. The replicator will make us scrambled eggs and toast when we wake up, and everything will be fine. Okay. And what happens in the meantime, right? What happens when Ford Motors has to go all robot? And how far away is that? Not far. So finding the robot trade, finding any kind of decentralized product like Tau is like the big product, right? We can't do anything in our models that doesn't spit out Tau as like the number one coin, right? It's basically a decentralized LLM. That's as best as I can describe it. Part of the problem with the tech part of crypto is that there's nobody around to explain it to anybody. Tech used to be the big part of crypto. 2021, it was all about layer ones and all that stuff and DeFi. You had to know the tech. You had to know what Polkadot and Kusama were. You had to understand the difference between, say, like Aave or DeFi on ETH and then DeFi on Avalanche. You had to understand this in order to make money. Then NFTs came along, and then that was a whole other learning curve, which kind of like resembled meme coins in a way, but you still had to learn it. People are under some kind of impression that you don't have to learn it or work, DYOR, do your own research. No, there's no DYOR in crypto anymore. Now, the good news is you can help yourself. What's up when everything else is down? Well, Bitcoin is up when everything else is down, which again leads me to believe no one owns Bitcoin. Now, both Crypto Crazy and Suleiman are like, what about XRP? Okay, so let's talk about XRP. As a matter of fact, let's talk about XRP, Stellar, Algorand, and Hedera. Now, when I did my query as to what American-made cryptos will AI agents be interested in, I expected to see those coins and did not. We'll talk about that later over on the podcast. Maybe I'll give you some hints today. But this idea about, these ISO 20022 coins that need to be adopted, like starting now, to help the banking system. That's what that means, right? By rule, they have to start adopting Cardano, Hedera, and XRP, which is why XRP is out there taking over everybody that they can think of. So is there upside in these coins? Yeah. Do you remember favorable tax treatment on capital gains or no capital gains for American-made cryptos? People, their approval rating is at 0. Zero. I mean, it's so bad that just like, they're going to have to get out of denial if they're going to pull out all the stops. XRP is included in that, and Stellar might be right behind it. You want to talk about something that no one owns? Oh my God. People went into Stellar and out of Stellar. They went Stellar. They went into Algorand and out of Algorand, right? And Crypto Crazy says QNT. Yes. Yes. Right. Along with HBAR. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they hit this thing today and they don't get any follow through, right? Now, the shorts are back. The shorts have been having a party. They have been in complete control of the market. So it wasn't going to go up only. You knew they were going to fight it. They saw this thing go up and they were mad. They're like, okay, I thought it was going to 75. I thought it was going straight to 60. Now it went up. Now I'm going to short it. Okay. They're going to short it. And now we're going to find out who's really in charge of the market. Are trend traders? Are our investors in control of the market? Or is it still in the hands of traders? Okay. Somebody said crypto is so bad, this man's hair fell out. Well, sir, that's not far from the truth. I got a little wear and tear since I started in crypto in 2018. However, despite the look, hope springs eternal. There was a guy named Ed Yardini at the bottom of the market in 2008 in stonks. And at the top of his newsletter, it looked so bad. His professional research commentary was, you got to believe. You got to believe in crypto. It's that simple, right? You wake up, you look at all the red, right? You got a little, traumatic stress going, oh my God, it's all going to zero. And if it doesn't all go to zero, all of these shorts that are getting put on today, what's going to happen? They're going to cover quick. And people who are bullish are going to be emboldened to get after it. So my vote is you got to believe. Because, again, if there's stuff that's up, because one of the things about Kaspa, right, that's a layer one that got started in 2024 and 2023. That is a possible AI agent layer one, and it is moving. Also, as a point of information, Cathie Wood from ARK Investments, which is like, a baby BlackRock in a way, just bought a truckload of Coinbase stock. Now, you would buy Coinbase stock if you can't figure out what cryptos or what crypto ETF to buy, right? The stuff in the ETFs may or may not go up. But if you were betting on much higher Bitcoin, a hard money reset, or AI agents coming in and doing something in crypto, or all of the above, you would buy Coinbase's stock. But it stands to reason that if you own that stock, you're expecting a truckload of people to come in and participate. That seems to be lost on everybody. I did some stuff for the podcast and for Patreon. I was like, hey, what American-made cryptos would Paul Tudor Jones and all the big hedge funds buy? And what would they buy on a dip? Some surprising choices, like payment mechanisms. Stuff that allows you to pay for things in dollars backed by crypto. Shocking. Interoperability, right? Cross-chain. Anybody remember this? In other words, one of the things that's amazing about the crypto heads telling me about the 4-year cycle is that this market never went up. You had a bear market rally in Solana. That's what I call meme season back in 2024. You had the market depressed because of the FTX nightmare. And then you had Solana go from $10 straight back to $200 as the leverage unwind happened, right? All that forced selling turned into joyful buying as, you know, the meme coins drove Solana. But that ended. That ended in flames when Pump.Fun, you know, went to zero. Now, of course, that took a long time after, you know, the casino had drained everybody's money. And then we had the Orange Man selling over the top of everybody last year, right around this time. And then you had another bear market. You've had two bear markets. You had 3 bear markets. You had 22 to 23, right? You went up in the fourth quarter of 23, topped in March of 24, and went straight down. Then, so that's like, you know, 6 to 9 months of bear market. Then you had like a 3-month ramp off the Orange Man and the government's going to moon my bags. And then you went straight back down again. So you've had 3 bear markets in altcoins, and everyone's trying to tell me that the cycle is over. What cycle? What cycle? Like, how are your bags doing? Are they looking good? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, ETH is where it was back when FTX started. Boring. Boring. Right? There has been no cycle. In my opinion, Zcash was the start of one of these, I don't know, 2 to 3 month spikes. You know, it's like all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. That could be the future. And no one wants to admit that. I mean, with this Binance thing, it was all the way down and all the way back, and then all the way down and then all the way back. The tariffs, right? You went to 75 and then you got a higher low at 80. Like basic chart work, basic concepts in markets. Just everybody wants to talk about the 4-year cycle. Everybody wants to talk about this thing going down for 2 years. Okay. Well, if it's going to go down for 2 years, it's going to be a really short show. But if it does go down for 2 years, there is still going to be something that AI agents are interested in. And this privacy trade is not going anywhere. I swear, like Monero is one of the top performing coins this year, and it may wind up one of the top performing coins next year. Okay. Somebody is projecting social disorder. Coinbase got downgraded yesterday. Thank God. You want to buy the downgrades and sell the upgrades. I mean, that's Wall Street classic, right? You know, I'm good, brother. I'm going to DCA. Wrecked DGen says, bro, it's Thanksgiving. Take a day off. Sir, we are on the air when everyone else takes a day off. That's why we're on the air, because people need guidance in crypto every single day. Crypto Crazy said he wishes he had dry powder. Coolest man alive says, get gold and silver. Dude, why not? Gold and silver are up only, and everybody thinks that hard money in crypto can't go up. It's done because the cycle's over. But gold and silver are up only. Crazy. Crazy. Okay? You know, you got to ask yourself, particularly with stonks behaving and doing what they're doing, can Bitcoin follow stonks higher? I think the answer to that is yes. Zcash. So Zcash is getting hammered, is now at 500. Zcash has got a lot of support around 480. What happens if they hit Zcash down here and they can't break it? Can't break it. And our friends from Aintivirus, right, the John McAfee meme and privacy community, they just had somebody on who had to take on Uncle Sugar for writing code. So just in case you think freedom is free and everything is perfect and it's going to stay that way, I would think about cryptocurrency. They have something coming out called Matrix. They have a Solana placeholder token for that. Matrix is going to be on its own blockchain and have private stable coins, and you can literally get in on it and the token trades at 1 million market cap. You buy the Solana token and you trade it in for Matrix. It was an airdrop to people who held the McAfee meme and privacy token. Nobody interested. Fascinating, right? Everyone's like, oh, I want to do degen. I want to buy it when it's 1 million market cap. I want to go back to when Bitcoin was at 500. Is anybody buying the dip in Zcash? What happens if Zcash goes to 400? What happens if Zcash goes to 250? Are you going to hodl it? Because that's what they had to do in Bitcoin. Bitcoin would go to 1,000 and then it would go back to 20. Now, I'm hoping that we're not going to see that level of volatility. Or we may see something insane next year when the NVIDIA accounting reckoning happens. Cryptocurrency is your path to sovereignty and freedom. You want to be grateful for something? Be grateful that you're here in crypto, even if you are wrecked. Because you know what? If you're wrecked, you can get out of the stuff that isn't working, right? One of the things I heard on this crypto podcast is you're going to have 10% of your portfolio, like these big players, they hold a bunch of Bitcoin, they have their Zcash or whatever they have. And then they have 10% of their portfolio, which they call the educational version. That's the educational part of their portfolio where most of what they do is wrong. Now, if you have 90%, micro caps, or you've gone full all out degen, you maybe need to rethink your asset allocation, because that's another word you're going to have to hear. Active portfolio management, moving your portfolio around, figuring out what the next hot sector is. We think it could be whatever AI agents are going to use, because no one is talking about that. And I just rattled off 3 or 4 coins that to me seem obvious, right? They seem obvious. Okay. And I just lost TradingView. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 hour from now, we hit with the YouTube member podcast, except it's not for members. It's free, where we're going to discuss what coins AI agents are interested in. We will see you in an hour.